Good afternoon. My name is Rigoberto Lopez, and I'm Department Head of Agricultural and Resource Economics, where Nataliya Plesha-Tereshchenko was a PhD candidate. I am honored to welcome you to join us in celebrating Nataliya's life rather than to mourn her death. She contributed to our lives in so many ways, as well as being a wonderful mother, daughter, wife. She was, for those of us in this community, an outstanding teacher, colleague, and friend. I would like to focus my remark on her academic contributions to the Yukon learning community. As a graduate instructor, Nataliya had an unparalleled commitment to teaching. She mentored students in environmental policy and professional writing far above and beyond the responsibilities of any graduate teaching student that I have ever had the pleasure to work with. It is also fitting that we are gathered now in the very room where back in April, Nataliya's students presented their poster exhibits for the environmental policy class in this very room. It is a sign that this meaningful venue was the only room available on campus for this celebration today. Let me mention as well several signs of Nataliya's teaching excellence. Nataliya was the recipient of 2 national awards honoring her graduate teaching. One was the Outstanding Teaching Award by the North American Colleges and Teachers of Agriculture, also known as NACTA, a very prestigious organization. The other one was that Nataliya was the first ever graduate teaching award, by the Agricultural and Applied Economics Association. So we are very proud of these awards, and in addition, as some of you know, that were in the same ceremony earlier this year, she also won the University of Connecticut Outstanding Graduate Teaching Award given by the Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning. But more important than these awards is the permanent gift of Nataliya's positive impact on countless individual students. Their comments in letters written to me speak volumes about her enthusiasm, her ability to inspire students, and her concern for every student's learning experience, treating students as a whole person. A former undergraduate student, Nataliya, wrote to me after taking her class earlier this year, quote unquote, "She became more than a professor. She became a mentor, and a person that I knew that I could look to if I needed help with anything." And that's who Nataliya was, very generous with her time. Nataliya was an extraordinary teacher and mentor, while balancing her demanding PhD studies, conferences, consulting, research, family, and yes, a very active social life as well. Her energy and passion for life made her unforgettable, even if you encountered her for a few seconds in a large meeting, in a casual first encounter. Next, I would like to recognize a few individuals that made this event even more remarkable. I would like to especially thank and recognize Christine Wilson, Assistant Dean of Students, she's somewhere around here, and for going beyond the call of duty for organizing this celebration of Nataliya's life. Jan Berchelli, for organizing the performance of the Northeast Connecticut Community Orchestra, whose members generously donated their time today and are joining us in this celebration. Nataliya's PhD Advisory Committee, we have 2 other members here, for guiding her and confiding her dissertation, making it possible to confer Nataliya's PhD degree later on during this event. Finally, Karen Knight, and Claire Bassano for providing support from the department's end. In closing, Nataliya's impact on this community is immeasurable, huge. We are grateful for knowing her and for her significant contributions to students, her profession, and so many of our lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Subhash Ray, the professor of economics, and I was one of the major advisors of Nataliya Plesha. It actually breaks my heart to attend this graduation ceremony of my student when she's not around. I had been looking forward to the moment when we would proudly walk to the podium, her name would be called out, and I'll be able to put the hood on her head. That is not to be. But that doesn't mean that her work is going to be unrecognized. She was a very hardworking, extremely enthusiastic, very committed researcher. Her interest was in environmental management and environmental economics. I am not an environmental economist per se, but she found that my own research is in the area of how do you measure productive performance when you produce good outputs, and on the side you also produce bad outputs. When we started with this idea, I contacted Dr. Rich Merrill of USDA, and she made several trips to Washington, D.C. to get the data from the USDA, to get his advice on the construction of the data, to get a full understanding of the data. And we had all the drafts of a number of what I would consider very valuable contributions that never saw themselves in print yet, but they may. We are not going to give it up. I am going to pursue this, and we will try to get as many of them published as possible. And his other advisors have also promised to give all the support that they can to make that happen. Nataliya was more than a research scholar. Nataliya was an accomplished scholar. She had several graduate degrees both in Ukraine and in the US. Many of you do not know that she was at Yale at the forestry school. And we have attended many international conferences in Canada, in Germany, in China, including very high-level conferences in the US also. And every time she was a credit to me as my graduate student, making a wonderful presentation and never being intimidated by people who are working in the cutting edge, in the frontier of the research topic that we are working on. I am so proud of her. What her absence means in my personal life, I can hardly tell you, because she started as a graduate student and graduated into being my daughter. She always looked up to me as her father in the US, and her son always considered or referred to me as her American Indian grandfather, comparable to his Ukrainian grandfather. And they can take her away, but they cannot take her memories away. She is there, she will always be there with me. And although I am speaking in mourning, I am celebrating the energy, the love, the caring that was her nature. She would go out of her way to help a fellow graduate student who is facing difficulties and would actually push that student to go and get that thing done. That is very, very rare in these days of self-centered thinking. I actually can only salute this kind of thinking. Even though she was a graduate student, was fed very thinly across all her commitments, I am sure her family can testify to the fact that they never missed an evening of enjoyment, that they never had to miss a social gathering, a concert, a family trip, because all was busy. That is something that very few of us can say. I dedicate this afternoon to my daughter, Nataliya Plesha.
My name is Jane Vercelli. I first met Yaroslav Yarek in fall of 2009. He was giving string lessons at the Killingly School of Music, and a friend of mine asked me if I would like to go along with him to take lessons. I said yes, and the rest is history. I don't know exactly when I met Nataliya for the first time, but I do remember. When I met Nataliya, it never crossed my mind that this friendly, attractive woman with the elegant, glamorous air was actually a brilliant person with indescribable energy, perseverance, and stamina. Nataliya was the female version of the mild-mannered Clark Kent, who would tuck himself into a phone booth and turn into Superman. In time, Nataliya learned that I spent many years working full-time as a journalist, and that 10 of those years were spent as a reporter and editor for the wire services, United Press International and the Associated Press. One day, Nataliya said to me, "Would you please read my dissertation proposal and make editing suggestions?" I had never read a dissertation proposal. I casually said, "Yes." When you edit someone's words, you get to know how the writer thinks, how the writer organizes the material, how the writer chooses details to support ideas, how the writer goes about keeping the reader's interest. Editing Nataliya's writing was like taking an adventurous trip into the mind of an intellectual powerhouse. I was astonished at the passion that drove her research, the clarity of thought, the breadth of knowledge, the attention to detail, the complexity of organization. I asked Nataliya, "Do you want me to add a few articles here and there? Because Ukrainian is a language so efficient that they don't use thes and a's and ands." "Oh yes," she said, but she wanted more. She wanted me to read her work from the inside out. My editing style was not to make changes, but rather to ask questions. So in several places I wrote in capital letters, "Do you mean to use this word or this word?" In another place I suggested reversing the clauses to express her ideas more clearly in English. By the time I was finished, I was mentally spent. When Nataliya saw my comments and questions, she was ecstatic. "From now on, you will be my editor." She announced as if she was bestowing upon me a great privilege, which indeed she was. I laughed and said I would be happy to read anything she sent me. And this is why Nataliya sent me her materials to review when she submitted them for the teaching award. I read through her writing and told her that everything was perfect, but I had one suggestion. She wanted to know what. I wanted her to write an introduction about an incident in her life as a teacher, which she had shared with me. She said, "Jane, I don't have time." But I insisted that she write this incident down and send it to me, stream of consciousness style, in lowercase. I told her, "I will add the capital letters. I will add the punctuation. I will fix any spelling mistakes that you make because you're typing so fast." "Well, I only have 10 minutes, she said. Well, I said, stem them writing and then send it to me. And she did. And this is what Nataliya wrote. These are her words now. I remember one day, it was the beginning of the spring semester of 2012. I came to my first population, food, and environment class. I always try to enter the classroom at least 10 minutes early, just to get ready for the class, adjust to the environment, and get to know my audience. The class was already full of students. I expected about 40 students in the room. I said, my name is Nataliya Plesha, and I am your instructor for this class. We will start with the introduction to some useful economic concepts today. Everybody was quiet. I put the PowerPoint up and started explaining the basics of economics and how we can relate economics to population, food, and environmental issues. The students looked at each other. I could see a little confusion in their eyes. But after 5 minutes, they were already engaged in the discussion. It was 12 minutes later when somebody entered the classroom and looked at me. I asked, are you looking for somebody? The answer was, no, I am professor of nutritional science. I teach in this classroom. I was just a little bit late. I said, well, but I also teach in this classroom. We both looked at the audience. Somebody from the back almost whispered, yes, we are here for the fundamentals of nutrition class. The moral of the story is, no matter what task is in front of you, bring as much passion and engagement to it as you possibly can. In another room, my students were waiting for me. I started to explain the basics of economics again. When the winner of the teaching award competition was announced, Nataliya was ecstatic and couldn't wait to tell me, Jane, I won. Thank you.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Rose Krug, and the program says Victoria, but I go by the middle name. It's always confusing. And I'm a former student in Nataliya's and a current master's student in the ARE department. I would first off like to extend my deepest condolences to her close friends and family. I had Nataliya as my teacher back in fall 2013 for environmental policy, and it was exciting, to say the least. However, after I finished the course, I was somewhat taken aback when she emailed me to write her recommendation, since usually the script is somewhat reversed. But then again, I was used to expecting the unordinary from Nataliya when on the first day of class she asked, "Would you all prefer drunken cherry or apple cake for an end-of-the-year celebration?" This was my kind of stated preference survey. That's an ARE joke. So, as part of my words today, I wanted to share an excerpt from the recommendation I had written for her early on in our relationship, as she applied for an Excellence in Teaching Award, as people referenced earlier. And here it goes. At a large university, it is often difficult to find the much-needed support from professors. Students with all different backgrounds, learning styles, and personalities are thrust into a single classroom from which they are expected to emerge with a new breadth of knowledge. On the first day of my class with Professor Nataliya Plesha, I felt a deep sense of comfort, despite the typical uncertainties present on the first day of class. Within the first minute after class began, I was set at ease by her whimsical presence and her passions for teaching. By the time class ended, I was truly inspired by her love of learning, which could be best demonstrated by her heaping fistful of master's degrees that she had accumulated. Professor Plesha's teaching methods exemplify teaching at its best. With energy and enthusiasm, she triggers class participation and dialogue. With a good-natured ease, she teaches difficult substantive principles in a style that is accessible and promotes long-term understanding. However, at the core of Professor Plesha's teaching style is her infectious love of economics. She instills her passion for education into the minds of her students and her love and concern for the environment into their hearts. Writing this letter of support was one of the simplest tasks I have ever done, because writing my letter of support for someone so special flowed like drunken cherry or apple cake batter. Nataliya is truly someone to be celebrated. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anna, and I am a sophomore at the University of Connecticut. I was lucky enough to have Nataliya as my instructor last semester. Nataliya's passion for environmental policy made the subject matter she taught personal. Instead of just feeding information to her students, she allowed them to reach answers on their own while guiding them, which made for an inquisitive and hands-on learning environment. Nataliya was always approachable, smiling, and made herself available to those who needed her, even at 9 p.m. at night, the day before the project was due, while you're locked out of the Wilford Young building. She made students feel confident in their work. The best instructors are the ones that illustrate their passion through teaching and encourage students to be passionate about the learning material as well. Nataliya was that kind of instructor. She conveyed her love for life, her family, her heritage, and the environment through her teachings. Nataliya left a mark on every one of her students. She was an excellent role model to all, with her many accomplishments and hard work. She will be missed greatly, but she will forever be an influence in the lives of her students and everyone she has touched. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Carly Pasaconis, and I'm a student here at the University of Connecticut. I'm not an applied resource economics student, and I had Nataliya for one semester in a class that was totally and completely out of my element, but somehow I felt at ease in her classroom. And good coffee is what seems to be the secret to her success. Or so she claimed. So maybe it wasn't the secret, but it was one of the many lessons that I learned from her, that good coffee is always good. It's one of the lessons that I learned from the very first day of class with Nataliya. I remember her taking the class by storm, strutting in these huge heels that I would definitely break my neck in, looking fabulous as always, which was the norm for her, outdressing every single one of us with style. She went over the syllabus, but she went over so much more than that. She told us who she was as an educator and as a person, and growing up in Ukraine and the events that inspired her growing up, how she came to the U.S. as a Fulbright scholar, and she continued at educational institutions. She told us about herself, how she is attentive and enthusiastic for everything she encounters because she drinks 6 cups of coffee a day. And you need to come to class, and you need to be prepared and be on point because she was going to be ready, and you needed to keep up. She also told us that every single one of us was going to earn an A in her classroom, that we were going to succeed. And in her classroom, we were all a family. We were going to support each other, work together, encourage one another, and respect each other. And she also promised us that we would have a cake at the end of the school year. So, a definite motivator for us all. She stressed to students how important it was to be attentive and passionate about the things that you do. She was a light in every room because of those things. She lit it up with her passion and enthusiasm, and it was infectious. I have never, ever been more excited for economics than I have been in ARU 3434, and recommended it as a writing course to as many people as we could. She told us how she was teaching a class at Eastern Connecticut in business or sports marketing. I don't think she even quite knew at the start of the school year, but she told us that she was figuring it out and doing her research and looking into sports because it was something outside of her normal and usual area of study. I have no doubt that she succeeded with that. Nataliya seemed to live by the rule of always being enthusiastic, and in class she responded quickly to emails even at late hours of the night when we thought we were the only ones up working away. She told us that when you encounter love, you should cherish it and appreciate what you have because you never know what tomorrow will bring. So you need to do your best today and every day in whatever you encounter and do. Show up and give your best. At the end of the semester, I wrote Nataliya a thank you, because I had an especially difficult semester that spring because of personal circumstances, but I knew that twice a week, every week, one of the highlights would be in that class for the entire duration of it, that I could look forward to in being engaged in a learning environment, and not only learning academic material, but little tidbits about being a better person and how to be enthusiastic for things that you never thought you would be. So I thank her for that. I thank her for being an amazing, inspiring teacher and for an even better person, because you don't always encounter that. I wish I could stretch my arms wide enough to encompass everyone who misses her and to heal that pain that I know you feel. But I can't. So instead, I hope I can leave the 5 cups of coffee out of it and foster the enthusiasm that she did every day and brought to every new situation. That we can shine on in her memory and live in a way that I know she'd only be incredibly proud of. Cherish the people you have. Take advantage of your moments. Remind people that you love them oh so much. Say thank you, be passionate, stay enthusiastic, and do great. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Denisha. I'm a senior ARU major. I also took a environmental policy class with Professor Plesha. Before you start talking about it, you have to take a deep breath because there's a lot to talk about. But I remember exactly in this room when we were presenting our projects at the end of the year. She told us to make sure we look nice because we're going to take pictures, so look nice because we're going to take pictures. So we all look nice to take pictures. But listening to the other students, listening to her friend, faculty member, brings a lot. And the one thing she did stress throughout the year, though she didn't say it, but I did realize, was that she stressed time and how time was not only significant of the essence, but also sensitive. So when you put time forth with something, you can progress with that. So the more time you put in with something, the more comes out of it. So she made sure she offered her time to us at any given time point. She told us that at any point in time to email her. Any time of the night, she will email back. Though she works at Eastern, she will come here. She will meet with us, whether it's one question or a page of questions. She told us that though she has to pick up her son in time, just ask her the question, she'll answer it. Whether it's now, she'll answer it later on. And with that, I learned that that's why she puts so much time for it. That's why she has all those coffees, is because she loved what she did. She loved what she's continuing to do. It was more than just her work, it was her passion that really stood with me. And as a professor, she was more than just a professor, she was more of a mentor. She wanted to know what we were doing. I was a junior at the time. She wanted to know what my life goals were. What was I doing after graduation? What am I doing now? How can she help? She started every class and ended every class saying, well, email me if you need anything. Let me know if you need anything. I'll write your recommendation. The very first day of class, she told us that she loved us all. But naturally, we had to say we loved her too because we all knew the talent. But truly, I can say, I do. Thank you all for coming, it means a lot. She would love us.
Good afternoon. Today I want to address some words about Nataliya in her role as a graduate student, a colleague, and a friend in the Agricultural and Research Economics department. All of us remember Nataliya as a person full of energy, always busy, but also available for her students and for us. She was always giving advice and suggestions about topics to study, classes to take, or any social academic activity that we were organizing. Frequently, she was at the meeting room 304, helping some of her students. Also, we remember Nataliya as Darik's mother. Because I am a mother too, I was always wondering how she and her husband could raise such a well-behaved and well-educated boy, and now young man. Every time I saw her, I was thinking the same thing. One day I asked Nataliya about that, and she told me that it was not magic or something that came from heaven. It was a time invested in giving Darik opportunities to find the sport he likes, giving him time for learning to play different instruments. She told me music will help later with mathematics. Time for learning their mother language on Saturdays morning. All those activities require time and effort, not only for Darik, but also for her to organize those tasks in her always busy schedule. She did these efforts because she thought that will help him in his future life. The advice she gave to me were very specific: places to go, sports to practice. She was trying to transmit to me her experience, but also at the same time she was trying to help me to develop my own way. That was Nataliya, a woman that was always trying to help and to transmit knowledge, not only the technical or academic, but also her personal experience. The reason of those efforts was because she cared about us. I am trying to put in practice her advices in the way I am raising my daughter. Life did not give us enough time to learn from her, but I am sure that what Nataliya gave to us will stay in our life forever. Thank you.
The University of Connecticut is a family, and like all families, we grieve when we lose a loved one. But we also celebrate the lives and achievements of our students. And today we gather to celebrate Nataliya's time with us and to recognize her work towards a doctoral degree. Nataliya was a PhD student in agricultural and resource economics. She was also an instructor in the Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics and a visiting professor of Economics at Eastern Connecticut State University. She was born in the Ukraine and graduated summa cum laude from the Lviv Institute of Forestry and Wood Technology. She continued her studies in the Ukraine, receiving a PhD from the Ukraine State University. She came to the United States in 2000 as a Fulbright Scholar at Fairfield University. Since then, she's earned advanced degrees from Yale, the University of Idaho, and the University of Connecticut. She was a beloved instructor, as we've heard many times this afternoon, and enjoyed life with her family, friends, and students. She will be deeply missed. It is my honor and privilege to award Nataliya Plesha-Tereshchenko the degree of Doctor of Philosophy from the University of Connecticut and present this diploma on the 29th day of September.
As you know, she never lived to complete this, and we, I believe, advisors have to put together her work. But I assure you that this has all the work that she has done. It's just that they were not written because she had expected to finish the writing, but it was never to be. So I am presenting here the PhD dissertation of my student, my beloved student, our beloved student, Nataliya Plesha, on behalf of the advisory committee. For that, will you please come? For that. These other advisors, Professor Devo and Dr. Richard Lenin, he very much wanted to come back because of physical illness he couldn't. So this is the PhD dissertation that we put together on her behalf. It should have been by herself.
Good afternoon. My name is Ivan Vilik. I'm pastor of Ukrainian Catholic Church in Romantic. I'm pastoral counselor for Hartford Healthcare. How beautiful day is today. For this day, for this event, Dr. Nataliya was working so hard. She was dreaming about this event. Today, Nataliya smiles to us by this sunshine. She touched us by this gentle wind. She speaks to us by this incredible music. She is with us by our memory. She is with us by her hard work, by her PhD dissertation. And she will be with us forever. I like this statement. Life is not forever, but love never dies. According to Nataliya's faith, she believed in God. She believed in eternal life. Today, everyone reflected on her spirituality, her personality, who she was. and her love, her faith, will not die. By our prayer to God, by her very important things what she did during her life, may God accept her soul in His kingdom. And by our memory, by our love to her, by our respect to her, and by this small prayer, may God descend and incredible peace on her family, husband, son, father. Let us pray to the Lord. Almighty and eternal God, hear our prayers for your daughter Nataliya, whom you have called from this life to yourself. Grant her life happiness and peace. Let her live forever with all your saints in the life you promised to Abraham and to all his descendants in faith. Guard her from all harm, and on that great day of resurrection and reward, raise her up with all your saints. Pardon her sins and give her eternal life in your kingdom. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you again for the beautiful music. Please join us for the reception following right away. You're welcome. And don't forget to write your thoughts to the family in the cards provided outside and to sign the book as well. So thank you very much for your attendance and your participation, and we look forward to talking to you in a few minutes. Thank you.